Hey everyone, today I'm taking a look at Sweetlandia, which is a small box card game published by Ultra Pro Entertainment. This one accommodates 2 to 6 players and takes around 30 minutes to play on average. Now the key mechanisms in this game are bidding and set collection, and the game is going to look like this when it's on the table, where you have a bunch of cards of different types. So first off, you've got public objective cards, and for that particular round there's going to be 2 objectives available, which can offer you more points if you achieve that particular objective. So this one here, you see I'm going to get 6 donuts, which are your points in the game if I manage to obtain no green locations this round. Or this one here, where I can get 9 victory points if I manage to obtain 2 or more mountains. Now, these are going to be your main cards that you're bidding for in the game. And it's always going to be a number equal to the number of players plus 1. So in a 3-player game, there's going to be 4 cards that you're bidding for. And the way you bid for those cards are going to be using these cards here. So you've got a number of different decks here, all their different kind of suit type in the top left-hand corner. And they're the ones that a particular player is going to be playing with for that particular round. And you can see each of these decks has a range of different numbers, which are going to be your bids to acquire these cards for. So normally, if you've got the higher cards, you've probably got some of the lower cards as well. So generally they're mathematically balanced. And you can see here as well, if you ever bid with your lower cards like this, you can end up getting additional victory points. And on top of this, you're going to get a personal objective, which only you can achieve, which is done in private. And this one here, you see, if I manage to own 3 or more blue locations, I will earn an additional 7 donuts. So the game is going to play out over 3 rounds, and those 3 rounds are going to consist of the players playing through 5 of their 6 cards in their hand. And let's show you how that works now. So first off, each player is going to secretly take one of their cards, and I'm going to do this randomly, so there's no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing here. So each player is going to pick one of these cards and simultaneously going to reveal them over and flip them to reveal them to the other players. And this is going to determine the priority in which these cards are drafted. So you can see here this player played their massive 36 cards, which I think is one of the highest, in order to get first dibs on the cards available from the display here. And these have a number of different information on them. So not only is the colour important, because again, sometimes these objectives correspond to the colours, and you've got victory points, which are straight up in the corner here. And each of these cards also has a kind of unique benefit to them, or a particular logo on them. So this one here says whenever I acquire this one, I can draw the top location card of the location deck, which could be a good thing because it could be great victory points, but it could maybe sabotage some of the objectives I've got. So you've got to consider about taking cards like that. This one here counts as a river and a forest. So again, a lot of cards synergize with each other by using keywords such as river and forest, and so do the objectives. And this one here, like this, says I may destroy one of your locations to acquire the top deck card of the action deck. So maybe you've collected a card by mistake that is going to ruin one of your objectives. You can use this card to destroy that card and replenish it with this one. And you've got one like this brownie bridge here, which lets you gain an additional 3 donuts if you have a river. So another example of cards synergizing with one another. So again, you're going to take those in order. So let's just say this player really wanted this one, this player wanted this one, and this player wanted this one. The remaining card is, if there is a remaining card, it's going to get discarded, and then you're going to rack up again for a whole new 4 cards, again equal to the players plus 1, ready to be bid for the next round. So let's advance to the end of the first round here. So a player here has collected 5 cards, each for one of their bids, and then you're going to tally up all the points you've gained that round and add any bonuses here. But let's take a look at what some of these different cards do. So we've already covered this one. This one again covers a mountain location, and it's an additional 4 points. This one here says at the end of the round, you can give one of your locations everlasting. Now what that means is that normally, at the end of the round, anything that is not everlasting, as in having this symbol, will be discarded and you'll start again from scratch. But anything with everlasting will stay in your scoring pool, ready to be scored again for the remaining phases in the game. So it's a really good way to extract more points from a single card. Like this one has an inbuilt everlasting, but again, this one is at the end of the game, I can give another location everlasting. So maybe I would take this one, give that one everlasting, so I'm permanently going to generate 4 points every round and always have a mountain location. And this one here is going to get another straight up 4 points, and it's going to be a mountain location. So I'm going to add up all these points here, going to add up any objectives that I've achieved. So this one here says going to have 3 or more blue locations. I did not achieve that, so I won't get those victory points. So this one here says have no green locations. I do not have any green locations, therefore I would achieve those 6 points. And this one here says have 2 or more mountains. I have 2 mountains, therefore I would achieve those additional 9 victory points. And as I said, at the end of the round, you're going to get rid of any cards that do not have Everlasting. So again, these ones can go, this can go, this can go, be discarded. These two will stay because they do have Everlasting. You will get a new public objective, and these two public objectives will get refreshed with new ones. And your private objective will also get discarded, and you'll also draw a new one of those ready for the next 2 rounds. Again, at the end of the round, or end of the game, after 3 rounds, the player with the most victory points will be the winner. Something I didn't mention is at the end of the round, or end of each of the first and second rounds, you're going to pass your deck of cards to the player on the left, so they use the cards that you had last turn, and again, you'll get the player to your right's cards ready to be used. So everyone's got an equal spread of the cards they've got to bid with. Okay, so let's share some thoughts on Sweetlandia. So mechanically, this game is dirt simple. Very, very easy, simultaneous selection bidding style game where you're trying to collect points, not only based on the cards themselves, the abilities, and of course those objectives. And those objectives are a big part of the game in a way that you can really differentiate yourself from the players if you're always achieving them. But sometimes I will say that these do conflict with each other. So some might say maybe collect 3 or more blue locations, and the other objective will say have no blue locations. So sometimes, off the off chance that will happen, but it's something you're going to have to work with, and again, try and manage that other card in your hand to try and get the most out of that. And these objectives will actually become either harder or easier as the game progresses, because with that everlasting effect, you're going to be acquiring more and more cards in front of you, which might automatically mean that you can't achieve another objective. So this one, for example, this one's got Everlasting and it's a yellow card. And if I drew this this private objective that says have no yellow cards, then I'm automatically going to start with with a negative footing, which is not ideal. So sometimes things like that can happen, which are a bit unfortunate. But the game does at least make an effort to try and mitigate that, because there are several cards here that will let you replace ones already in your tableau to give you that flexibility to at least have a chance to achieve these objectives, which I think is a really good addition. So I do like all the way the cards synergize with each other. Maybe you want to go for a strategy where all your roads are going to combo with each other, or there's even cards that interact with the other players in interesting ways, where if you take a really juicy card, it might fill up the row back, fill the pool of cards back up, meaning that the other players following you will get a better option and a lot of choice. So there is some really cool cards in this deck. I've only covered a few of them, and I don't think I need to go through all of them, but you get the gist of what these cards consist of. I really enjoy the decision on how to manage your hand of bids. When are you going to put the big guns on the table, go for the kill, and guarantee yourself to secure a card that you want? Or when can you afford to play one of these lower cards, because maybe you've got a bunch of cards here that you don't mind taking. All of them are fine, they've got a good amount of points on, and they're not going to ruin your objectives. That's when you can start playing these really low bids, and as a bonus for doing that, you're going to get those additional donuts from those lower cards, which I think is a really good addition. And I'd like to see that used more. If you manage to pull off something that traditionally wouldn't work, you get compensated for it. So yeah, that's a really nice little wrinkle there that they've added in. The game also has a really nice forward momentum where as you acquire more and more cards, you can gain more of these everlasting abilities. Therefore, you can end up getting more and more points each round. So it's not like you have to just start and stop each time. Even though you are essentially doing that, at least you can keep hold of a few cards from round to round. And when they start synergizing with each other and new cards you're acquiring, you can get those big multipliers and get these big chunks of points at once. The time investment for me is right on the money for this game. It only takes around 30 minutes to play at any player count really. And if you're playing with 3 or 2 players, then you're going to easily get this done in 20 minutes, which feels right. The uptime is great because you're always playing simultaneously with the other players. Just pick your card, reveal it once, and grab the card you want in order, and enjoy it that way. So yeah, there's not really much scope for losing interest. The tempo is really good, and again, that time frame is a proper filler timestamp, and it's certainly not going to outstay its welcome. Just 3 simple rounds, and the game is over before you know it. I think even the replayability of this game is decent because you're always tactically working with the cards available to you, trying to create those combos and trying to get around and achieve these objectives without ruining them and cutting your legs off to not get those points. So yeah, I really do like the way that you have to react to what's available to you. You can't just follow the same path because those cards just aren't going to come out. So yeah, it has a good level of engagement, and I think it's going to hit the table regularly because that tactical play shines through. The production for Sweetlandia is generally good. I mean, the card stock isn't the best, but fortunately you do not have to shuffle these cards a tremendous amount because you do come with your preset decks. Yeah, these aren't linen finished or anything, but they stand up okay. The artwork and stuff and the graphic design of the cards I think is fantastic. I love the visual aesthetic of this game, nice and bright, has a nice kind of fresh feel to it, and I really like the name of some of these cards as well. They have a nice little play on words. You've got like Marshmallow Mountains and the candy cornfields, and my personal favourite here, the Turkish Delight House. But yeah, love the artwork, love some of the kind of tongue-in-cheek humour there, and I think it works well for the game for what is essentially just a bunch of cards. So, final thoughts on Sweetlandia. So I actually really enjoy this game. It is very simple, and a lot of the mechanisms here have been done time and time again. However, this game does it well. It's a nice blend of the simultaneous selection, the set collection, and the bidding and management of your bids in your hand. So all those things come together and complement each other well, and there's nothing here that's going to really confuse anybody. But the actual satisfaction of pulling off those combos, it does shine through, and it is enjoyable when you do get that big injection of points and you can pull off all these objectives to pull away from your opponent and win the game. So yeah, I like the way it works. Again, there's not really much more I can talk about because everything has been done here so many times. But this is a good auction game or good bidding game and a proper little filler game that scales well and plays in a tight time frame. So this one did take me by surprise. I thought it was a really nice game. I don't think it's as good as some of the classics out there. Games like For Sale has a lot of shared DNA with this, where you're simultaneously selecting a card and then taking cards from a row in order. But this one is different enough, I think, to warrant having both. Maybe is a kind of a sidestep to a game like that, where if you're fatigued by playing the same game again and again, maybe try something like this just to add a bit of life into your collection. So I think this is a really nice hidden little gem, and one that I think deserves your attention if you do like your bidding games and you want a new filler. So check out Sweetlandia if that's what you're looking for.